Hi everybody, it's Lene. Thanks so much for stopping by my channel today. I know the title says Christmas in July, but before we get to the Christmas project, I wanted to show you the summer version of this project, or the everyday version, in case you want to make it for a Christmas gift or a birthday gift, and you don't want to use the holiday paper. So for this one, I'm using I'm actually using a 6-pack of Dollar Tree file folders in these really pretty pastel colors. You get 2 pink, 2 blue, and 2 yellow. The only thing is that these are super flimsy. They're more like construction paper. They're not cardstock at all, but I'm pairing them with a really beautiful paper pack. This is Watercolor Wildflowers 12 by 12 pattern cardstock from Paper Wishes hot off the press, and it is cardstock, so it's got a really nice weight to it, so it just sort of automatically reinforces it. I'm using these, or I bought these for the reason of the colors. Okay, I really wanted those pastel colors. And also when you're doing projects like this, you don't really want 25 of them unless you're mass making them for, you know, a sale or something like that. And that would be great to sell them at a Christmas bazaar or something like that. But for my purposes today, I needed a very few of them. This color, this really pretty teal color, I got these on Amazon and I had to buy like 25 of them, but they are a really nice weight for a colored file folder. So if you were using a paper pack, like a lightweight paper, like maybe 65-pound paper, then this would be the way to go. All right, or you could use the plain manila as well. So let's take a look at how this goes. Cute little mushroom charm. This is really easy. It's great for beginners. And we've got a little pocket right here. And then we've got our pages, and I mixed solid, just printer paper with school, like college rule school paper my daughter had left over. And I've got all of these pages, which I think makes it a great travel journal, a summer journal, and the Christmas version could be a great planner. So yeah, I thought this would be really fun to gift to a friend if you're meeting them for coffee and you just want to, maybe they're going on a trip or they want to record their summer travels and things like that, or just their summer memories. I tucked in a little gift card there. It's just a really nice little gift to bring to a friend. Little closure there, easy to do. All right, let's take a look at this patterned paper that I used, patterned cardstock rather. And there's 2 of each of these sheets, and it's absolutely beautiful. Watercolor Wildflowers, 12 by 12, patterned cardstock from hot off the press. It's available at Paper Wishes, and I'll leave that link down below the video under all the Paper Wishes supplies. Look at that beautiful color. And then this one I've noticed is just a really nice subtle one with this border on it. I use this one a lot when I'm working with this paper pack. Love this. Kind of a orangey pink stripe. And this yellow, these are the 2 actually that I used for this journal. And the yellow really inspired it because I used the yellow file folder. And then you can cut these down and tuck those in the pockets. And then it's got all these great greeting sentiment cutouts. All right, so now that we've done the summer or non-winter version, let's take a look at what we would do for Christmas. So for this one, you guys, I'm using a paper pack, also from hot off the press. I have to find it here. I stowed it away. All right, still gonna be using these file folders, but it's called Frosted Flowers 12 by 12 patterned cardstock. And it's absolutely beautiful. It's more wintry really than Christmas, but it's not overtly wintry. There's some snowflake kind of on here, but look at the beautiful florals. Got the poinsettia. That's super Christmassy. And then the corner embellishments here. Oops, I included, we get 2 of each of these. And then this beautiful one, this is the one we're going to be using for our project because I think it's going to go really well with that pink folder. And then it's just really ghosted back on the other side. And then this is sort of a teal version. And I've used this teal version in another project, and I'll link that at the end of the video. So in case you buy this paperback, you want to make another project with it. And these beautiful little cutouts, the snowflakes, and then all of these little greetings and things. Okay. So, as I said, this is the one we're going to start to use, and I'm probably going to use both of them. I'll use one side of one and then the other side, because it takes 2 sheets to do this project. All right, so the first thing, you guys, we're going to take a file folder. Which way did I cut it? Here we go. All right, there's the file folder, and then I cut this down to 8 3/4 of an inch wide. Now, the tabs can come this side or this side. The yellow one that I used, the tab was in the middle. I still cut it down to 8 3/4 of an inch, and you're just using the bigger chunk to do your project. Okay, so this size, this piece right here, we're not doing anything with in this video. I think I'm going to hold on to it because there might be a cute Instagram, Facebook video that I can do, just a little bonus video. So you might want to check back on that. All right, so now we've got this part. This is super easy. I'm going to take this away so it's easier to see. Super easy. We're not even going to score this. So we're going to fold this over to this inside edge. And because these are from the Dollar Tree, they're not always squared up very well. So you do have to just kind of pay attention how they're folded and make, just adjust accordingly. Okay, just like this. And we're going to open it again. Now these 2 inside pieces right here, there's 2 inside panels. Those are the ones that are going to go forward. So we're going to do this. Okay, they're going to go forward like that, and then eventually we're going to trim this part away, but only on the front part of the panel, and then this one gets folded here. There you go, just like that. So you're going to have this W shape, and the inside part is where the pocket's going to be. All right, and then I'm just going to use some brown ink, because there's a lot of brown in my paper, and we can kind of just do a little inking around the edges. You absolutely do not need to do this part. I didn't do it on the other one. I did a little inking on the papers, but not the actual file folder. And I'm going to mention, you guys, that this is going to be a giveaway, so watch to the end of the video on how to participate in our weekly giveaway. They're always super fun to do and super easy to participate in. And as I'm inking here, I'm just going to make a few little announcements. So I feel like in school, we're at the beginning of school, they make announcements. Another thing we want to promote and talk to you guys about is our July 21st first live that we're going to be doing. And I get asked all the time, what do I do with the projects that go unclaimed? Because there's quite a few. Or I make sample projects, so there's duplicates of projects that I make. What are we doing with all of those? And the answer is they sit in a file cabinet in my studio, in my craft room. So yeah, if you want to have a chance on nabbing some of those, we're going to be having a little, I guess you could call it, it's kind of an auction, but they're just a set price. And you can actually claim one during the live, and then we'll give you instructions on how to pay for it and give us your address, and we'll send it to you. We're going to do kind of lots, and so we'll do lot 1, 2, 3, 4. So they could have multiple projects in each one. I have so many, and they're all going to be Christmas themed. Okay, so if there was a Christmas project that you were really wanting from, well, all the previous years, not just last year, definitely go back and take a look at some of those, because there's a lot of them. Yeah, so I think it'll be really fun. And we're also going to have a question and answer. I get lots of questions about my job at Paper Wishes. I get questions about my design process, just all kinds of stuff. So yeah, we'll be talking a lot about fun stuff. All right, so there we go. And now we're going to take our paper, and I think we're going to put this one on the front because it is so beautiful and it has the widest border. Okay, if you're new to my channel, I use papers that are really heavily bordered, and then we just let the work do that for us, for sure. I'm going to give you the measurements on these because we are working with pretty standard sized file folders. So let's do that, Lene. So you want a cut file folder to 8 3/4 inches. Okay. And then we're doing our folding, so you're going to fold them in half. All right, so for covering these, I like to just take a pencil and then I place my paper so that I have a border around it. We want to show the pink border because that's why I chose this color. Otherwise, we just use, if we were going to cover the whole thing, we could just use manila ones or any color. And then I'm just going to put a mark right here with a pencil. Okay, and it's going to, this one I'm going to move up a little bit because there's a little notch there. And then you're going to just put a little notch here and here, a little pencil mark. And we're just going to take the paper trimmer and cut that out. I have piles of stuff from doing Christmas in July. So when I'm finished with doing these videos, I've got to clean my craft room. My craft room is in the center of my house, and it's actually the old dining room in my house. We weren't using our formal dining room, and we just use the kitchen dining area because we're just a little more casual. And it was the formal dining room for years, and we only used it like 3 times a year. So yeah, I turned it into my craft studio, and it's in the center of my house. So when people come into my house, they see this absolute like explosion of crafts and things, which isn't nearly as cool as you would think. It's kind of crazy. All right, so now we've got this little piece right here that's just a little bit of a curved edge. It's just sort of a wavy edge. And so I'm just going to take this corner and I'm just going like this. I'm just cutting out a little notch, okay? It's not perfect. I'm not tracing it and doing any of that. I'm just trying to make it look like a resemblance of that. This is pretty dark paper, so I don't even know if I'm going to ink the rest of that. Okay, using my favorite Cosmic Shimmer glue. You use your favorite. You can use a tape runner, whatever you'd like. And if you're looking for like a craft project to do with friends, like in a little group this summer, this one's a great one because you could buy, you know, a pack of paper and a pack of file folders and you're great to go. This one is a little off. There we go. That's why I like glue, because it takes a minute to set and you can kind of manipulate it a little bit. All right, so now we have this next one. We're going to just keep covering all of these panels, and then we're going to go back and open this up and make a cut right here for that cutaway pocket. You can also, of course, cover the backs. We're not going to be doing that, but you can actually do that. All right, so the next one we're going to be doing is, Actually, I think I'm going to, let me think about this. I think we're going to do the back one on this outside edge, just like this. Once again, cutting. And don't worry, I'm going to, once again, marking, not cutting. I will give you the dimensions. I just want to get the back and the front cut down because I want to see if they're the same, if they're going to be working the same. And I'm just cutting to the top because we're going to be using these little pieces that are left over when we're done. I'm not going to waste any paper. Okay. So this one's got to be, yeah, this one's way thicker. Okay. So let's do front cover, back, inside back. The front cover is, let's call that 3.5 inches wide. By 8.25. And then the inside, let's see, the back, let's see, inside back. And I'm simply doing it this way because I'm wanting to use these borders on the front and then on the very back here. So this one is 4.25 inches wide. And then it's also 8.25 inches tall. All right, I rewrote some of this to make it a little more clear. So we're cutting our file folder to 8.75 inches wide. Then you're placing the fold on the left side. And then you're folding that to the right edge. All right, so that would get us to this part right here, fold at the side, folding that there to the right edge. As I was looking at it again, I can make that more clear. Then our front and inside cover, this one and this one, is 3.5 by 8.25. And then the inside back piece is 8.25 inches wide, excuse me, 4.25 inches wide by 8.25 inches tall. These two right here are the same dimensions. They're going to go right there. And I just added that. Center 2 pages is the same. All right. And I have inked the edges of the lighter papers just a little bit because they just needed a little something. All right, so we're going to go ahead and glue these in, and then we're going to cut the pocket. And when I'm gluing these down, I like to make sure that the top and bottom edges of the other papers are even, so you don't have them going kind of jagged. Just a little tip to keep things looking tidy. And then just one up through the center there. All right. Now the next part, oh, I forgot, on the back. Okay, so those 2 sheets of patterned cardstock made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, covered 5 panels. It has a 1/6 amount here, like a little bit left. We can glue that on the back here, but it's a little shorty piece. So I think we'll go ahead and do that, and then we could put like a border or something there. Okay, so remember how this is folded up. That's going to be our back, because I don't want to leave it bare, even though it's a tiny bit short. There we go. So yes, 2 sheets of the patterned cardstock of your choice will fit on these. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is going to take a paper trimmer and we're going to cut down, oops, this is going to get folded just like this, and then we're making an angle cut right here, and we want to just draw a line there so we have a nice little pocket tuck spot. That's where we're going to put it, but we're going to cut it to right here because I don't want to cut both sides of these. I just want to cut this side of it. So we have to open this up first in order to cut that, okay? And the easiest way to do that is to just make a little line there. And you can use your paper trimmer for this. I'm just going to go ahead and use scissors. I'm going to go right down to the line. And then we're starting at this corner. And we're just going down here, and then we're going to keep this little triangle. We're going to absolutely use it. Okay, so hold on to that. And then we're going to take some ink and just ink this edge. All right, there we go. So that's how that's going to look right there, okay? Now we can also put something there, some patterned paper there, that's no problem. We'll do that in a little bit, and we can glue this edge right here. So I'm gonna find what patterned paper I would like to use. All right, paper is folded down, and I did alternating the little holes inside. I used a cover piece of just printer paper. You could also use cardstock to just give it something white on the outside edge so they're not immediately looking at the lines. And we're going to secure this in place right in between the pink edges. And I'm just using these little clamps I got at the Dollar Tree. They're very handy. Just like this, just to hold everything in place. And the most important part is that this fold is aligned with that fold. I'm going to be using my swivel stapler simply because a standard stapler won't go in as far, and this stapler adjusts so that it can do that just fine. It's about $8 on Amazon, and you can find it down below the video in my Amazon store. You could also use a 3 pamphlet stitch. This is very common to use in journals. It's super easy for beginners. I'm just not going to be doing that this time. I liked having the raw edge of the stapler, the pokey edges, on the inside so it doesn't catch on anything on the outside. So we're going to turn this over, and we're going to just put these staples right on the spine, and then like that. Okay, there's one. Making sure again it's adjusted. Nothing got out of place. You want to make sure you're going in about the same amount so that the staples look even. Whoops, mine just slipped. It's kind of tricky on that fold because it wants to slide off the fold. Oh, okay, let's try that again. Staple remover. Okay, and I want to go right in that same spot. I think I know what the problem is. There we go. Okay, there we go. Make sure, yep, everything got to the inside okay. And then it's also handy just to take your scissors and just push down those little pokey bits there. Okay, that's how it's looking so far. We're getting towards the end. Okay, so now remember this part on the back that I wanted to add something to? I only have a few of these left, but these are white fancy lace border stickers, and they're Dazzle stickers, and they're available at paperwishes.com. And it's just something just a little fancy to put on this edge, except it's going to be just a little bit shorter, but just a tiny bit. Okay, it kind of finishes off that edge. And then on this edge on the front, we might as well take some and just, it's like I hardly have any left. I need to go buy some more. Too long. Let's try. Here I thought it was going to be not quite long enough, but because it has this little notch at the end, we'll just trim that right off. There we go. So it gives us a nice finished edge. And then I like to put some words or something right there. And this is some green script greeting dazzle stickers. They're Christmas script greeting dazzle stickers. And I'll put the link for these down below. They come in a really nice pack. So we could just put Christmas on it if we were like going to be making this a planner. So you're planning for Christmas. Like that. And then we're just going to trim this off because it's a little too long. And there was a little eye there, literally, and dot for an eye. Okay, see how that looks. That's pretty cute. All right, so now we have something right here that we can add for a pocket. And these are the cutouts that I was describing, that I showed you before, the little cutout toppers and things. They can just go right in here. You do have to shave a little bit off the left and right edge, but then you can place them really nicely. But let's add a few more little pocket details here. So remember, all of these pieces that we kept, you can cut them from corner to corner like this, and then you can place them around your pages and they make really nice little tuck spots. So cute. So I'm going to finish this up and then we'll do a final flip through. Okay, that didn't take long. So I took one of the ends of the paper, remember when we cut this down, and I have this little bit here. This is 8 1/4, excuse me, why do I keep saying 8 1/4? 4 1/4 by almost 4 1/4. And we're going to just tuck that right in here. We're going to glue that in place. And I flipped it around so that there's some contrast there so that you can see that it's a pocket. Because I think if you used it like this, it doesn't look so much like a pocket. All right, and we're going to just put that right in here because we're going to be aligning some edges. Kind of done that a lot more easily. I forgot the flap was open. Just open the flap, Lene. Okay, and it's a little bit high because we're just using a scrap. Still a little bit high. Okay, let's see how we like that. That's good. It's a little crooked. And I was really sloppy with my glue. There we go. Okay, so there is our little pocket right there. And now we're going to just open this up and we're going to put a line of glue really close to the edge. All the way up. And close this. And we really just want that to keep closed. Okay, so here we've got these 2 pages. Oh, Lene, I forgot to glue the bottom closed. Jeez. All right. All right, so you're gonna glue when this is open, that long edge, and then a little bit down at the bottom too. All right, now we're done with this part. Now we're gonna add our folded paper. So I have some notebook paper, and because this one I'm imagining will be a journal or a little Christmas planner, I'm taking 8.5 by 11 notebook paper. I'm going to hold several together at a time, like 3. And this is just a nice way to get some lined paper in your journal. I'm going to fold it lengthwise. Okay, and then we want it to fit right in here and have a little bit extra room. So I'm going to cut it to the same size as the patterned cardstock, to 8.25 inches. So let's do that. And I'm just cutting the header part off because it will then look. And then I'm going to save those for that other project I was talking about. And then we have all these little holes in there. I think that is adding to the, you know, cute junk journalness of it, but you can stagger them so that they go different directions. Just embrace the holes there. All right, and I'm going to do some more, and then we're going to get these all ready, and we're going to staple them in our little book. So here's our final flip through. I ended up adding Merry to the Christmas once I had this border on. Another Happy Holidays here. Leaving these cutouts blank, so the winner of this little album for our Christmas in July can personalize them, gift this to a friend, add this here if they'd like. Oops, that's upside down. Joy to You here. There's another little blank piece of ephemera. You could tuck a little gift card in there. And then we've got this little tuck. This piece right here was the cutoff from here, all right? And then what I had to do was just cut a little bit more off of it so it fit in this space. And then I just topped it with one of those little pieces that I had left over, and made a little triangle. Top that right there. You want to glue that on the 2 sides, leaving that open for that little tuck spot. And then I just went ahead and glued some more of those little tuck spot triangles, see if I can find them, right throughout the little pages of the journal. So you can add notes and things like that if this is your holiday planner or if this is just a record of the holiday season. Now we need to do a little closure. It lays pretty flat, so you wouldn't have to, but I did one in the first one. So we're going to go ahead and find the center. You're going to take a pokey tool, something that's pokey, and you're gonna wanna go through right about here. Okay, and then you're just gonna push that right through, a little pressure there. There we go, just like that. And then I have some 1 millimeter white little stretch cord. You can find this in my Amazon store. I like to keep the ends free for adding little charms on. So we're going to take the fold. By the way, this is about, I'm cutting more than I need here. Okay, this is about 24 inches long. And we're going to go ahead and take the ends and we're just going to thread them through this little hole. And you can use that little pokey tool to help them along if they're not coming through, but mine just came through fine. Now this loop part right here, we need to tie a knot in this, multiple knots in this, so that it doesn't go through that little hole. So I'm talking minimum of 3 knots. That's why we left ourselves extra length here. Like that, and I think another. There we go. Kind of a chunky knot. As I said, you do not need to put this in your book if you don't like the center to have a knot in it. All right, now we're going to take a string and put it on either side, just like this. We want it to tie about like this. And then I mean, you could use these little different mushroom charms. They're more of a summer, fall situation instead of winter, but I love them. These are also in my Amazon store. But I'm going to be using some tiny pine cones, just because I thought they were adorable. Look at them, aren't they cute? So we're going to first knot this. You don't want this tight, like you want it to be firm so it slips off, but not tight. You don't want to strangle your little journal. So we're just tying a little knot. Comes off really easily, maybe a little too easily. Let's tighten it up a little bit. All right, and then we're gonna just take these. In fact, I better tie it up one more time. We're going to take these and thread them on. And you can either tie them up really tight so they're kind of not too dangly, but I like a dangle. So we're going to just tie them like this. Tie them in a double knot. And then this end, we have lots of extra on this end. So while I'm doing this, let me remind you to participate in our weekly giveaway. You like, comment, and subscribe to Lene Creates. And then in next week's video, you have to watch it to see the pop-up to see who won. You may have noticed that if you watched all of today's video, that there was a pop-up, and that was the announcement for who won last week's project. And then you follow the instructions about emailing me that you won. It's always nice if you leave a comment on here so people know that someone won. And then we'll give you instructions on how to claim your prize. And here we go. Don't forget to subscribe to my other channels. I do projects on Facebook and Instagram a couple of months. I do little projects there just to promote those channels and get people to follow me, basically. And if you want to contribute to my shipping expenses, because this is going to get mailed out free of charge to the winner, and it would be really nice if somebody or many of you wanted to contribute a couple of dollars for my shipping expenses. So you can buy me a cup of coffee, or there's a super thanks down below, and that would just be super nice. I appreciate it. Thanks for joining me, you guys. Don't forget the July 21st live, so definitely check that out, and I'll see you in the next one.